Okay, as I understand it, you have agreed in principle to the terms, parental agreement, and spousal support. So we still have a few loose ends, and I believe each of you have a list. Ready, Your Honor. Very well, and you've worked out a deal for the homes. Tom gets the Montana place and the Miami home, while Giselle will keep the New York City residence and the house in Costa Rica.
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, I don't see a place near Boston. Where did you live when you were with the Patriots?
The Home to Suites by Hilton.
Really?
Yep, it had a kitchen and everything.
I see. And Giselle, you also request the following items: the ring from Super Bowl 36.
What? That was my first! I was MVP!
You were 16 of 27 for 145 yards. The Rams outgained you by 145, but turned the ball over 3 times.
Super Bowl 39.
4 turnovers, and Deion Branch bailed you out.
49.
Oh, come on!
Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson, Malcolm Butler.
And Super Bowl 53.
13-3. Really?
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, this certainly is amicable. I'm impressed.
Judge, you don't know her. She's a witch.
Now, Mr. Brady, there's no reasons for name calling.
No, I mean, she's an actual witch. She's in a coven and everything.
I see.
You don't know what she's capable of. I've been able to throw a deep ball in the last 4 years, and she made Gronk quit football and take up insurance fraud.
We'll ask him about his spirituality.
I believe in the Holy Trinity. Well, that doesn't sound too...
Wait for it.
Belichick, Gronk, a great defense, and Wes Welker.
That's 4, Tom.
I know it's 4. That's why it's a trinity.
There we go.
Be that as it may, I'm going to deny the request for the Super Bowl rings. And Tom, you might not want to say anything about your wife being a witch. It sounds pretty ridiculous.
Oh, I wish you hadn't have said that.
Well, I declare this matter closed and wish you both the best of luck. Hello, you're watching Once Upon a Time in Las Vegas, the rise of the greatest American sports betting show in the world, in history, in America, and wherever you're sitting at. I'm your host, Rocky Foré, here with the great, the powerful, the Steamroller. How you doing?
It's not often that the name of your show encompasses all the characters on Twitter. That's very good. For the record, It is Once Upon a Time in Las Vegas, the rise of the greatest sports betting show in the world. Not America, not the Persian Gulf, not Canada.
Well, I feel like those places are in the world, so.
They absolutely are in the world, but it's just, it encompasses all of them. We don't have to name them all individually. Hey, it's good to be here. It's the 9th time. Week 9, buddy. I'm excited. You excited? We got some barn burner matchups this week. Woo! Woo! And I can hardly wait to get to them, he said without a hint of sarcasm in his voice. Did you have a good week?
They're going to be even more fun on Sunday when we're watching them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So before we get to the games real quick, let's talk about a couple special offers we got going on. First of all, an offer that's near and dear to my heart, because this will get you 50% off any premium picks from all of our experts, including a couple of them that you see right here. Myself, Chris King, Scott Reichel. Too greedy. Don't want to share those picks. Don't want to share the good picks with everybody. He just wants to make his money on his own. That's okay. But this code will get you 50% off of picks from me, from Chris, from any other great handicappers at winnersandwhiners.com. Vegas RV 50. That is Vegas RV 50. You plug that code in, you get half off of my picks, Chris's picks, or any of the other great handicappers at winnersandwhiners.com. You can get our packages. We've got basketball packages, football packages, and of course, everybody has daily best bets, and you'll get 50% off of any and all of those. So make sure you check that out one more time. Vegas RV 50. All right. And speaking of promos, don't forget you can make money by commenting on our video. How do you do that? Well, just simply drop us a comment. And it's a wide range of topics. Anything you want to say. If you have a take, make sure you put it in there. If you like the show, you don't like the show. What bits do you like? What plays do you like that we're making? And what are you guys on this week? What NFL plays have gotten your attention for the week? And just by doing that, you could be $100 richer. Every Thursday, our Rocky and I do it live as we do the drawing for a $100 gift card to be entered. All you have to do is drop us a comment. So make sure you do that. And we cut it off. It's on Tuesday is the last day for comments. After the Monday Night Football game, that's when we wrap everything up. So make sure you drop us a comment before the Monday Night Football game is gone. Rock, it's kind of weird as we go through the show. I'm kind of impressed by the amount of studying you're doing. Or like you know what you're talking about.
I feel like I am. Even my fantasy team did all right this week.
Oh, who won it for you? Who did well, buddy?
Well, Alvin Kamara had a good game. AJ Brown was awesome, but it was really Julio Jones that put me over the top.
You started Julio Jones?
Yeah. I mean, he's had some bad games for me over the years, but he finally stepped up.
Well, you picked a good game to start him at least. Nice job.
Yeah, it's nice to finally not get 0 points from him when I've had so many other good players on my bench.
What do you mean 0 points?
Well, he's had so many injuries over the years. It's like 1 0-point game after the other.
Wait. Are you saying you started Julio Jones even when he was injured?
Yeah, why wouldn't I?
Rock, in fantasy football, you can switch out your lineup. You can put different players in each week.
Yeah. I knew that.
You didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
Well, you know what? I'm glad it finally worked out for you. Bravo, Julio Jones. And I got to tell you about our sponsor. This is, I think, the third week they've been with us, and we're hearing great results from these guys. It is a very cool platform. It's No House Advantage, daily fantasy sports, and they are changing the game. Changing the game, Rock. They offer the most dynamic fantasy sports platform available today. You can play pick'em contests versus other people for cash money. Enter contest, select your player props, climb the leaderboard, and win big money every day on No House Advantage. And of course, you want to go for the big money, you can test your skills versus the house. If you win, if all your players win the matchups, you can win 21 times your entry by betting on player over-unders or matchups. You sign up now with promo code WANDW at nohouseadvantage.com or download the app on the app stores to get your first deposit match up to 50 beans. 50 beans there for nohouseadvantage.com. So there you go.
Wait, Steehn, does that mean if I put $1 in, I'd get $21?
Yes. If you win, you would get $21.
And if I put $2 in, I'd get $42?
Yep. Math checks out.
And if I put $3 in, I'd get $63?
I think you're on the right track, buddy. How many of these you want to go through?
If I put $7 in, do I get $147?
Woo! Woo! Had to take his shoes off for that one. Yes. Yes, you do, Rock. Congratulations. So let's you done? You want to go through any others? You all right?
No, I just wanted to showcase my multiplication tables.
That is fantastic. You did not sleep through third grade. No question about that. All right.
I did it 3 times.
Let's meet our cappers for this week. All right. First of all, coming out of shoot number 1. You know him, you love him. He's the pride of Long Island. Had a nice week. Hit a nice little 40x parlay. Quick, Rock, if you put in $5 and you played a 40 times parlay, how much would it pay?
$2,000.
That is not correct. That is not correct. It is 200, Rocky. I'll try this one. If you put in 50, how much would it pay?
$2,000.
There you go. There you go. You know him, you love him. You see him on the college show every Friday with me, where after a little mid-season dip, he has been on fire the last couple of weeks. He is the one, the only Scott Reichel. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, nothing much. Happy to be back. Definitely a fun weekend for me. Ended up going 3-0 on the college football show. And sorry, but I did what I had to do. So losers walk again for you later. We'll cover that on Friday. Besides that, NFL was good. Ended up hitting that 40-1 parlay for player props. Also hit my last couple of plays of the day on YouTube on the NFL. So overall, been good. Can't complain. Happy to be here with you guys again.
Very good. Very good indeed. And not to be outshone by the young man, this guy, I don't know what to say about him. He's currently residing in South Carolina, and as with most people in South Carolina, he's a big Bills and Cubs fan. You know him, you love him, but you especially love that haircut. It's Chris King. What's up, bud?
Hey, at least I have hair still, unlike you there with that wig. Anyway, it was a good weekend.
It's the dumbest fucking thing ever. It has become a meme that I'm some like. First of all, this would be the toupee I would choose. I would go to the store and go, oh yeah, that's the one I'm looking for right there. So
Exactly.
well, I know you've gotten off to a good start in the NBA. Football picks going okay for you as well?
Yeah, football picks have been decent. I mean, I had a couple bad ones the other day. Buffalo not covering the line because they played bad football in the second half.
Oh.
That one hurt. But
Every time
I can't complain.
Every time I hear somebody say Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the NFL, I just laugh and laugh when I see the second half like that. That's just...
Well, the funny thing was in that game, they didn't have to do anything in the second half because Green Bay just decided to keep running the ball.
Yeah, I didn't understand that game. We've got we had one game last week of teams with winning records.
I believe that's correct.
That was unexpectedly the Giants and the Seahawks.
Right, the game everybody had circled on their calendar for late October.
The battle of first place division leaders in October, no question about it. So, at the end of this card, you may wish it was last week, but we'll plunge ahead and see what we got going. I think that's it. Rocky, you've been hot lately. How you been doing?
Yeah, I ate some expired Cheez-Its and I had a fever for 3 days, so I was hot.
Oh my God, I didn't even know Cheez-Its expired. What was that, from the 1950s? What did you find a box?
Yeah, they were vintage. Yeah, I found a box, an unopened box that somebody tried sending to a soldier in the Korean War, and I opened it and then I ate it.
Oh, well, I'm glad.
I love MASH. Okay, I like the show. I wanted to pretend like I was in MASH.
What you never saw them eating was Cheez-Its in MASH.
That's true.
Probably because they were all hung up in the mail.
I don't think they got.
They all ended up in Rocky's garage.
Oh man. Okay. Well, it's good to. It's good. Yeah. There's a big stash in Rocky's garage. Did you finish the box? Or did you...
Yeah, of course we finished the box. Who do you think I am, Steehn?
I'm no quitter. All right. Did any of you guys trick or treat before we get to going? This is the day after Halloween that we record this. Anybody go out trick or treating? Anybody take a youngster out trick or treating? Rocky, did you go trick or treating?
Yeah, I try to rent a kid, but they were all taken.
Well, the market is really tight on Halloween.
Yeah,
no
now kids want to
go out and trick or treat with you.
Yeah, well, because I don't get that much candy when I go by myself. Everyone thinks it's disrespectful.
Because you're 6'5"?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you open up the door and Rocky's standing there going trick or treat.
Oh, with the hair, he's 6'7". So
yeah, with the hair. All right, well, very good. All right, guys, I don't want to take up any more time than we have to. We got some fun sketches. Hopefully, you guys will enjoy those this week. But we got to get to the games because that's why everybody's here. So let's talk a little football. As you guys know, a couple things. As I mentioned before, we do record on Tuesdays. There will be injury news. There will be line movement that we are not aware of. So keep that in mind.
We're also currently recording this with 12 minutes left before the trade deadline.
That's right. The trade deadline ends in 12 minutes. So we'll maybe reveal breaking news that will be 3 or 4 days old by the time you hear it. That'll be great.
It's a tape delay breaking news,
Yes.
Yeah. It's the throwback to 1970 TV coverage.
Oh, I just heard Nixon resigned. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Good to know. All right. Well, let's you okay?
Yeah, I was just going to say, the world has a Cheez-It shortage.
Is it a supply chain? Is it a supply chain issue with the Cheez-Its?
Yeah.
Rocky, I know we always get a kick out of whatever discount jersey you're wearing. What do you have on this week?
Michael Vick. Very
good. Oh, no wonder the dog was barking. He saw the
he saw the jersey.
He saw that Michael Vick jersey and was a little upset. So, all right, first game on the slate is going to be the only undefeated team left in the NFL. The 72 Dolphins have had that champagne on ice for a while now. I think they're going to have to keep it on ice for another week as the Eagles travel to Houston to take on the Texans. The Eagles, 13-point favorites, 44 is the number. We talk a lot about Jalen Hurts, talk a lot about the Philly running game, but I'm really impressed with the way this defense has played. They've given up more than 17 points just one time this season. They're sixth in rushing yards, but they're 21st in yards per attempt. What does that mean? It means they keep running the ball whether they're having success or not. They are second in the league in rushing attempts. They just want to lull you to sleep until you start playing the run and then let Jalen Hurts take his shots over the top. I don't like laying 13 points on the road very often, but I'm going to do it here. Give me the Eagles minus 13.
So I'm gonna go with the total in this one. I would lean to the Eagles, but I don't know if I really expect the Eagles to fully care for the full 60 minutes here. We saw on Sunday night Buffalo was dominating, they stopped caring, and then Green Bay ended up covering as a result. I'm gonna go with the under in this game. And I know it sounds a little bit intimidating because Philly could score 35 in this game and your under might be screwed. But I do think that the Eagles defensively are going to dominate this game. And you're looking at what Houston did offensively against the Titans. The Titans are awful against the pass, and yet Mills had nothing going for him until basically garbage time, where he had a touchdown with like 20 seconds left. So they had 3 points against a pretty mediocre unit at best. Scored 20 against the Raiders. That's not exactly a great defense. Scored 13 against Jacksonville. At the end of the day, I'm kind of just hoping the Eagles get out to an early lead, coast a little bit, and the Texans offense does nothing against this good defense. So I'm going to go with the under, but I do agree about the Eagles. They should win by at least 14.
I like how you said that the Eagles could put up 35 and you might lose. And that's exactly right. The total's 44. Eagles could get to 35 and your under could still be good. That's absolutely true. Chris, what do you got here?
Yeah, I've got to agree with the Eagles. I mean, in regard to the total, I actually have to go the other way because I backed the Eagles to stay under the total against the Steelers last week and said, hey, Philadelphia could score 31 points and Pittsburgh might not get there to push it over the total. And, of course, it ended up 35-13. I'm expecting a similar sort of scenario here. Houston might score some points in garbage time because, like Reichel said, Eagles aren't going to care come the fourth quarter. And while the Eagles are the only undefeated team, the Texans can at least take solace in the fact that they're the only team with 1 win and 1 tie in the NFL right now.
That's something, all right.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are going to win this game like 35-3. Who do the Texans have at wide receiver besides Brandon Cooks? A bag of Frito-Lay, a tortilla chip that Scott broke his tooth on. Those would all be better than what they have at wide receiver 2 and 3 right now. Collins is out again.
All right.
I'm going Eagles.
That's Rocky Foré, everybody, doing callbacks to pre-show conversations that we had right before the show started. So everybody's on a little too far inside on the inside joke there. How about a little Colts Patriots? The other thing we talked about before the show, there was some matchups this week that looked really good before the season started. And now everybody's like, oh, God, really? This is one of them. Colts, Patriots at home, 5.5-point favorites. 39 is the number. Guys, I have no faith in this Colts offense. I don't care who's quarterbacking, whether it's Sam Ehlinger, whether it's Matt Ryan, whether it's Jeff George, whether it's the ghost of Eli Manning. I don't care. Peyton Manning. They have scored more than 20 just one time in 8 games. New England, you can throw against them. Well, they don't want to have that happen with Ehlinger. It looks like Frank Reich really has the reins on Ehlinger. They want him to hand the ball off, wants him to run a little bit, trying to limit his passing opportunities. We'll see if he opens it up more. I don't really care. Patriots minus 5.5. I'll take it.
I agree. I like the Patriots in the under in the spot. They got back on track, and they made a young quarterback look awful last week, which is a Belichick specialty. Now you have another young quarterback the week after. I think Ehlinger is going to look awful in this spot. The issue is they want to be safe with him, so they want to run the ball, but they haven't been able to run the ball well this season with Jonathan Taylor, so I'm not exactly sure how they're going to move it. And Mac Jones, I'm not a big fan of, but I think he's good enough to beat up on a bad team. I think the Patriots probably win this game in a very ugly, low-scoring game. Give me some type of 23-10 final, something like that, but I'll take New England in the under.
Yeah, I've got to agree. I've got to go with New England in the under here. Like Scott said, the Colts haven't been able to run the ball. They can't throw the ball. And even when they try to throw the ball, it doesn't go well. That offensive line is a shambles. As far as Belichick making young quarterbacks look bad, it seems like that really applies more than anybody to the Jets. Remember Sam Darnold's ghost game a couple of years ago. Ehlinger, he wasn't terrible against Washington, but this is a a different situation. New England's going to rattle him. They're going to get after him in the pass with a pass rush. And I don't know if either team will even get to 20 points. This could be another 17-7, 17-9 type of game where they don't get anywhere near the total.
We've got breaking news live on the show. You know who's going to have a hard time throwing and running the ball without their running back two? Nyheim Hines just got traded to the Bills. Ellinger is losing an emergency valve. He's got no elite dump-off running back. That's just going to help the Patriots even more.
Now, what are the parameters of that trade, Rocky? Did you happen to get it?
I don't know. Maybe I'll know within 3 days when we put the show out.
I'm just confused. The Bills traded for another running back? They already have 7 of those. They really got another running back? Okay.
I think they were going to dump Zach Moss more than likely.
Okay.
Yeah. If I get word, I will let you know. They have not announced the parameters yet.
All right. Very good. Thanks for the update. And who do you like in this one, Rocky?
The Patriots. The Colts miss Nick Sirianni more than I miss the show Jericho.
Oh, that was a good show. That was the nuclear explosion show, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was solid. All right, very good. We're
and one last thing. Let's not forget too, Scott, is Marcus Brady, the offensive coordinator, was fired today by the Colts as well.
Oh, that's right.
So there's going to be some turnover there.
Absolutely true. All right. Well, I don't think either one of those things. Certainly, missing Hines is not going to help. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I guess firing Brady could help.
Hines had a pretty good game last week, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had a touchdown.
Well, kind of has to, because Ellinger's going to check the ball down whenever he has pressure in his face, but now he has to find another check down safety valve.
R.I.P. Hines, hardly knew you. Hey, let's talk a little Bills, shall we? With the freshly acquired Nyheim Hines. Man, they could be good now. They are 13-point favorites against Scott's Jets. Jets, no respect, buddy. No respect at all. 47.5 is the number there. Man, I liked this Jets team, and then Breece Hall got hurt. And if the opening game without him is any indication, it's going to sting. They ran for just 51 yards without Breece Hall last week. It didn't go well. Buffalo, number 1 scoring defense, number 2 scoring offense. That's hard to argue with. I don't know what could possibly go wrong with laying 13 points on the road in 2 of the first 3 games, but I'm going to do it. I'm not betting against these Bills, despite the fact that they crapped the bed in the second half last week when Josh Allen shows his true talent level by throwing 2 stupid interceptions and overthrowing a wide open receiver for a first down. But I digress. The Jets, good story for the first half. Going to be an ugly story for the second half. Give me the Bills to cover.
So I agree. I ended up laying 13 or so with the Bills against the Steelers X amount of weeks ago, and they won that game by like 30. I think this game's going to be a rout. I really just think the Jets are really in trouble offensively because Zach Wilson's not very good. And I gave out the Patriots. Defense to do well in a free pick because I gave out the Jets team total under this past Sunday, and that ended up cashing because I basically said Zach Wilson is going to either look awful or somehow beat me. And what do you know? He looked awful again. Now the Bills' defense with a very good pass rush. Vera Tucker's also out for the year, so the offensive line definitely got a lot worse too. But if the Jets can't run the ball, then Wilson's going to have to throw. And I guarantee you there's nobody more scared of Zach Wilson throwing than Jets fans. Maybe the coaching staff. So I'm going to go with the Bills. I just think they're going to win this game going away. They have so many weapons. It's tough to contain Allen in general. And the offense, if you can stop the run, they'll do just fine because Zach Wilson can't throw. I know Tre'Davious White was activated, I believe, from the IR. So they're getting a 2-time Pro Bowler back in the secondary, which is a nice boost. Give me the Bills going away. I think they could win this game 34-14, something like that. So give me the Bills to win comfortably.
Jets do a nice job at stopping the run, but against the Bills, who cares?
It doesn't matter. And you're looking at Sauce Gardner, you're looking at DJ Reed, still very good corners, but you have Davis, you have Diggs, you got so many weapons there. I'm not sure if it even matters.
Yep, absolutely.
Now, I saw bulletin board material where Sauce Gardner says he can handle Stephon Diggs easy. We saw Jair Alexander say that in the tunnel the other day, and then he didn't even line up on him because Joe Barry said, well, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put this scrub corner on Stephon Diggs and get his lunch eaten. I agree. Buffalo's offense is very good, and I have to agree with Steehn. The loss of Breece Hall is a devastating one for the Jets. I had a lot of respect for what they did at the beginning of the season with Hall being able to take over the running game from Michael Carter. But at the end of the day, with no offensive line and Zach Wilson doing Zach Wilson things, and we've heard Rocky say before, Zach Wilson doesn't have that dog in him unless he's chasing after a 40-year-old woman. The fact remains that, the Jets are in trouble here. Von Miller and those guys, the Bills blitz the least and have the highest pressure rate in the league. They're going to make life miserable for Wilson. I think Buffalo's going to win this one easily.
Yeah, I think if the Jets want a chance in this game, they'd start Joe Flacco, but that's just me. I still think 13 is a lot of points. I've been watching the Bills. Josh Allen and their little backyard offense isn't going to work in the playoffs, and I don't think it's going to work against a team with sneaky guys like the Jets. I don't think the Jets are going to win, but I think they're going to cover.
All right.
What sneaky guys are you talking about?
DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner.
Sneaky. They're sneaky guys.
They're
Lost
sneaky.
in the sauce.
Sauce
right.
Gardner's going to shut down Stephon Diggs.
All right.
Gabe
So
Davis isn't going to do anything. It's going to have to go through Isaiah McKenzie.
not quite a consensus as Rocky's on the Jets. Three of us are on the Bills. Hey, let's talk a little Dolphins Bears, shall we? Why? Well, because we have to. We're contractually obligated. Dolphins 4.5 point road favorites, total 44.5 in this one. I find it interesting that Miami has the number 1 and number 4 wide receivers when it comes to yardage, yet they are 16th in points. Yikes. So that would point to a little bit of inefficiency on the offensive side. It also points to an inability to run the football. The Bears, poor Bears. They just can't score. I think this one stays under the total 44.5. Gun to my head as far as the side goes. Well, I don't see a gun to my head, so I'm not doing it. I'm taking the under 44.5.
So I'm going to go with Miami in this one, 4.5. They're undefeated when Tua has stayed healthy for an entire game, and it seems like the offense has looked a lot better with him behind center, of course. But Chicago defensively was supposed to be a decent unit. Then they traded all their defensive players that are worth a damn. They traded away Robert Quinn. They traded away Roquan Smith. Eddie Jackson's there by himself. I'm sure he's miserable. But I'm going to go with Miami because I do think with Chicago already embracing the tank by trading away a lot of their key defensive pieces, I think that Hill, Waddle, and everyone should have good games here. I'm actually going to disagree about the total, though. I'm going to lean to the over because of how just awful that Bears defense is. And now they gave up 49 to the Cowboys last week. Yes, there was one defensive touchdown in there. You still give up 42. I think that Miami should be able to score. And the Bears offensively, not great, but last 2 weeks, not bad. I don't know if you can feel that. That's a bit of a pulse for the Bears offense the last 2 weeks. I'll lean to the over. I think Miami could potentially score 27 or 30 in this game because of how just awful Chicago's defense is now after the trades. I'm going to lean to the over, but I like Miami.
Well, before you start talking about how Miami is, let's not overlook the fact that Miami looked terrible on defense and made Jared Goff look like an actual NFL quarterback for throwing for over 300 yards against that defense. Miami got shredded. They gave 27 first-half points to the Lions. If Detroit had actually, played the second half, they would have won that game. I don't trust the Dolphins. I never have trusted the Dolphins ever since Dan Marino left. I didn't like him when he played. But, Tua, sure. They move the ball a lot through the air. They can't run to save their lives. They just traded Chase Edmonds. Everybody said it was going to help them try to get Kareem Hunt.
But they got Jeff Wilson.
And what are they going to do? They're still not going to hand the ball off.
Oh, he's probably not going to play this week. I was just joking, but yeah.
Right. What are they going to do? Going to run on 49ers running backs? They already had Mostert. If I was going to lean one way or the other, I would take the Bears and the points just because I watched Miami sputter against Detroit, but I don't think this one gets over the total. I just think that Chicago's offense, as good as it's looked the last 2 weeks, won't do enough to get it past the mark. I think this ends up being 21-17, maybe 23-20, something like that. I
got to disagree with Chris. I think everything is coming up Dolphins. They look great when Tua's playing. They traded a first-round pick just now for Bradley Chubb. They traded another first-round pick for Tom Brady's phone number. I think things are going well for them, and not just in the present, but also in the future. Mike McDaniel is a genius. The Bears showed a little bit of a pulse, like Reichel said, but it's still the Bears. Going Dolphins.
Let me ask you, Rock. You say that things are coming up for the Dolphins and going into the future. You realize they have no first-round picks next year. They have no, well, what do they have? A second and a third, and that's about it.
Well, that's what I mean. They traded one for Bradley Chubb and one for the ability to talk to Tom Brady and pick his brain.
And Sean Payton. Don't forget they tried to
And
talk
Payton.
to him too.
Yeah,
That's right. Very good. All right, guys, that is our first segment. It is in the can. Stay tuned. After these messages, we'll be right back. But before you go, don't forget, you can check out my premium plays. Just use the code Vegas RV50. That's VEGASRV50. I have been very good at the NFL over the last month. We've had good shows. Went 10-6, or excuse me, went to 10-5 last week, and very excited about that. And of course, premium plays have been doing well. NBA starting off with a bang. So make sure you check out all my great plays over there at winnersandwiners.com, or just use the link in the description. Use that code VegasRV50 for 50% off of all of my packages. We'll be right back after these helpful and hopefully humorous messages.
This season on Fansville, a stranger comes from out of town.
Hi, welcome to Go State Diner. Can I get you something, hon?
Yeah, I'm just gonna need another second with the menu.
Sure, no problem. Something to drink?
Oh yeah, could I just get a Coke?
We don't carry the C word around here. We have Dr. Pepper, Diet Dr. Pepper, Dr. Pepper Zero, Cherry Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm not the biggest fan of Dr. Pepper.
Mister, oh my God, you're not from Fansville, are you?
No, I'm from Supporter Town.
Supporter Town? Are you even a state fan? Or do you support tech?
I'm sorry. I don't know what those are. Those are football teams! Don't you even follow football? Sorry, I'm not the biggest football fan. At least American football.
you gotta be kidding me.
Get this guy out of here.
All of my scars, just find a place to hide.
This town's a dump.
Like a flower.
Whatever. If there's a Liverpool game on.
I could join the circus, or they leave at dawn.
As we continue our tour of great British sports, let's turn down the aisle of American football. Here we celebrate and acknowledge all the great performances when the NFL has come across the Atlantic.
Oh, Grandpa, let's go find the Blake Bortles statue.
Hold your horses, son. There's more American football in London than just the Jaguars.
Here we have one of the footballs used in the first London game in 2007. Eli Manning went for an incredible 8 of 22 for 59 yards.
59 yards? That's like...
53.94 meters.
Now is a painting of Shah Khan drawn by Jalen Ramsey, the owner of the team with the most wins in London. Anyone know how many games the Jaguars have won in London?
4.
Yes, but please next time raise your hand. This may be the American football hallway, but we are still British.
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's move on.
What's that?
Don't!
What's the Washington versus Cincinnati game mean?
There's nothing there. It didn't happen.
Grandpa, what's a red?
Shut the f*** up, son. You still have a future.
Look, one day the Washington faced the Cincinnati Bengals in London.
Well, who won?
No one.
No one? But someone has to win. What's the point of this whole museum if it's just as boring as soccer?
Boring as soccer?
Sorry, he's young. He still plays with Bionicle.
I'm sorry, but you and your patriot-loving son need to get out of this museum.
Patriots? But I like the Jaguars, even more than Man U.
You deserve the rotten hell like the rest of those traitors. We took that land as our own and they stole it from us. Then they took our sport and ruined it. I'm sorry. Let's move on to the Blake Bortles room.
Hey!
All right. Welcome back, everybody. As you can see, Rocky had a rough time in Fansville. Sorry, bud. Next time you take your vacation, maybe not in Fansville.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I just found a ticket that said ticket.
What's that, bud?
Oh, I just bought a ticket that said ticket. I didn't know that it meant it was going to Fansville, the most vague place in the universe.
Very good. All right, kids. Well, here's a 3 more games that we have to talk about. Let's talk a little of Vikings and the Commanders. Vikings are now 3.5 point favorites. Is that what you guys have?
Yep.
Okay, good chat. Vikings 3.5 point favorites. This number's actually come down. Didn't some Commanders money pouring in? It started at 4.5 now 3.5. 43.5 is the number. Another road favorite. The Vikings defense struggles against the pass. The Washington defense struggles against the run. So, what do you like better? Do you like the Minnesota running game better than you like the Commanders passing game? Yes, I do. I like Taylor Heineke. I think this Commanders team could be sneaky there in a very good division in the NFC East. But I picked the Vikings to win the division before the season started. That looks like a very prescient play right now. Taking another road dog. Vikings -3.5. I might be patient on this one to see if we can get it to go through 3. I doubt it.
That's not a road dog, though, because they're favorite.
I mean, what is a road favorite?
Yeah.
The dogs are the ones that are behind in points, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, I always get those.
Was that a Rocky impression?
Steehn, did we run into each other in a hallway and switch bodies?
Yeah, I think it's Freaky Tuesday, everybody. Welcome. I'm taking another road favorite in the Vikings, -3.5 to beat the Commanders by 4 or more. There you go.
So I'm actually going to disagree, mostly because of the line movement. Yeah, because of the line movement. I do think Minnesota's the better team, and when Chris and I did some division previews, we did mention the Vikings potentially having a lot of value in that division as well. But I do find it interesting that money has come in on the Commanders so much so that's already moved about a point, which I think is rather telling. I figured most of the public money or most of the money in general would be on Minnesota. They also won last week, so it wasn't like they had an off game. But I'm going to go with Washington. This team has been a bit feisty. Heineke as a home dog has been very good in his career. I don't know, but I think the line movement's a little bit telling to me. I think Washington finds a way, and I think they'll end up either losing by 3 or maybe winning the game outright. But give me Kirk Cousins to make classic Kirk Cousins mistakes in his former building. I'll go with Washington plus the 3.5.
Well, I respect where Reichel is coming from, and I know that Chase Young may play, may not play. He's off IR and everything. I can't trust Washington. Sure, they've won 3 straight games, but who have they beaten? Granted, Heineke's better than Wentz, and Kirk Cousins is Kirk Cousins, but this is a day game. It's not a primetime game on Monday Night Football. The Vikings just picked up T.J. Hawkinson to replace Irv Smith Jr., which gives them another weapon to put alongside Jefferson and, the arguably washed Adam Thielen. But we saw Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, Cousins. I think Chuck Foreman scored a touchdown on the ground last week.
Love my Chuck Foreman grill.
I'm going to take the Vikings here. I just don't think Washington can hang in if they go down 2 scores.
Okay.
I agree with Chris there. Mike Zimmer built up this roster in such a good way. The only thing he forgot was how to have a clutch offense and defense. Kevin O'Connell's turned that around. The Vikings aren't making mistakes that they usually do, although they still get blown out by the Eagles. So at least they got something in their history going well. And they just traded for T.J. Hawkinson. So who knows how much he'll play, but, I like the Vikings because I don't like the Commanders.
All right, very good.
I think the Vikings are posers. I will say that. I think the Vikings are playing way better than they should be. They're playing 500 football right now. They have 6 wins.
Okay, very solid.
Right, Mike Zimmer built this city.
He built this city on Harrison Smith.
There you go.
That almost worked.
Let's talk a little NFC North, shall we? About some Packers and some Lions. Boy. Lions are the home team here. Packers 3-point road favorites. Really? Okay. 50 is the number here. Here's a fun fact, guys. Since 2000, only 2 teams have given up better than 32 points per game. One of them is the Lions, And so is the other one. That's right. The Lions have done it twice in the century. No one else has done it even once, and they're on track to do it this season as well. One of these teams has lost 5 straight. They're 1-4 against the number. The other one has lost 4 straight, and they're 1-4 against the number in their last 5. What do? Give me the over. Give me the over. This is a terrible, terrible Lions offense. They've got DeAndre Swift back. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think, gets better every week. Yes, they're going to miss Hawkinson from that offensive lineup, but I don't think they're going to miss him enough to keep this one under the total. I'll take over 5-0.
So I'm going to lean to the over as well, but I am kind of wondering who Green Bay is going to have at wide receiver. They didn't trade for anyone at the deadline. Lazard missed the last game with a shoulder injury. Cobb got hurt again. What else is new? Sammy Watkins got hurt again. What else is new? I think Watson suffered a concussion, so he might not play. You got Dobbs and basically nobody else. And yet, you kind of just assume Aaron Rodgers will find a way to score 28 points against this defense because he has done it his entire career. But Green Bay's offense has been a train wreck. However, they can run the ball, and Detroit is awful against the run. Luckily, the Green Bay is also bad against the run. And now you have Williams and Swift together as a nice 1-2 punch there. I think both teams will move it. It's in a dome, so weather's not a factor. Detroit fired their defensive backs coach. I don't think it's his fault that the talent isn't there in the secondary, but they're going to try some things. I'm going with the over as well. For the actual side, I think I'd lean Detroit because I feel like people are pricing Green Bay, assuming, well, they dominate the Lions every time and they should be favored. Should they be favored? Because Green Bay is pretty bad, if we're being honest.
They've been pricing Green Bay for the last month like it's 2009 or something. It's the numbers on them have just been ridiculous. So
I'm going to take the over, though, because I think Dan Campbell's not a good coach, so I don't trust the Lions late in games. But I expect it to be a shootout. I think you'll see points, and the Lions' defense is so bad that even Green Bay might be able to throw the ball against this team. Give me the over as well.
If it's a shootout, just make sure you save a bullet for that gun to take off your own head, all right? Chris, what do you got here?
At this point, I would take the fighting bye week -3 over either one of these teams. Like we said, the Packers are terrible. We saw them struggle the other day. Watson is probably going to miss the game with a concussion. Who's their best receiver? Robert Tonyan, who plays tight end.
I said Dobbs. I mean, it's real. Well, nobody,
that's true. They do have Dobbs. I don't understand why Detroit didn't hand the ball off to Swift more last week. What do you have, like 5 carries or something like that? He caught more passes than he ran the ball.
Yep.
I'm going to just stick with the over. I'm not touching the side on this game because it's so terrible. It could end up 34-31. It could end up, 48-7 the way we've seen Detroit play. But yeah, this one's going to end up over the total. There's just too many points with 2 bad defenses out there. It'd be interesting to see what Green Bay does besides hand it off to Jones and Dillon, because while they can move the ball, they'll also chew up a ton of clock. And we saw that didn't work well last week.
You guys want to see my impression of Green Bay?
Twiddling your thumbs?
That's them sitting around doing nothing, twiddling their thumbs. They lost Devontae Adams in the offseason. They didn't do stuff. They didn't do anything at the trade deadline. They were in on Chase Claypool. Didn't pull the trigger. They're doing nothing to help this team. Why are they favored any time ever? The Lions at least can score 35 points, and sure, their defense gives up 32 points a game, but you think the Packers can score that much? No. A.J. Dillon ain't doing anything. Aaron Jones having to carry the weight for this 2-headed workhorse running back offense. They're terrible. Lions, 100% Lions.
Okay, very good. Would you take them on the money line to win straight up?
Yep. And if betting was legal in my state, I would.
All right.
I mean, he's right. I mean, it's bad that the Packers didn't get anybody, but Jacksonville went out and got Calvin Ridley from the Falcons.
Yeah, true.
I mean, that's pretty telling that you can't even get a receiver that's, suspended.
Right.
By the way, Rocky, that Nyheim Hines trade was for Zach Moss and a conditional 6th round pick in 2023.
Oh, there you go. You're right. Zach Moss is done. Very, very good. Well, we talked about a lot of games that looked good before the season and now don't look so good. This one looked terrible before the season started. And guess what? It is. It's the Chargers and the Falcons. Chargers, 3-point road favorites. 49.5 is the number. There's one path to success here for the Falcons, and that is to run the football. And that's what they've been doing so far this season. They're 5th in rushing. Meanwhile, stop me if you've heard this one before. Chargers can't stop the run. Hey, there's a shocker. They are dead last in the NFL in yards per attempt allowed at 5.7. And I don't know, speaking of, I don't know who's going to play receiver. They've got no Mike Williams. Keenan Allen, surprise, still questionable. So is Josh Palmer. Guyton is already on the IR. And the Chargers, they cannot run the football. They're 27th in rushing yards. I know it's only 3, but I think this is a good matchup for the boys from Atlanta. Give me the Falcons +3.
I think it's a tricky spot because the Chargers are off the bye, and I try to back teams off the bye. But you mentioned the injuries to the wide receiver core. You didn't even mention the offensive line, which is absolutely destroyed. The defense is also injured to hell and back. J.C. Jackson's officially out for the year. We know Bosa's constantly hurt. There's really not much to like about this Chargers roster right now because about 80% of the key pieces aren't going to play in this game because they're already on IR. The Falcons are a team that I thought going into the year would be an entertaining but bad team. And it turns out they're an entertaining first-place team in the division with, they got one shoe on. You know the drill. But either way, I do think Atlanta has a good matchup here because they can run the ball. The Chargers really should be struggling offensively because of the fact that even their quarterback is injured. He's just been playing through broken ribs for the last couple of months. But whatever they're doing, despite not using Pitts in London, it's worked. They can run the ball. Give me Atlanta. I kind of like them getting 3 at home against a very injured team.
I'm going to lean the other way just because of the fact that I don't trust Marcus Mariota as a quarterback. I know people have been talking about when's Desmond Ridder going to play. And if you're wondering when Desmond Ridder is going to play, that obviously means you don't have a good quarterback situation. You look at the Falcons, sure, they run the ball well. And you look at the guys they're running it with, Patterson is a converted receiver. He's on IR. Algier was a 5th-round pick. Huntley was an undrafted guy. Avery Williams was a corner. So they're getting by with all these guys that, nobody's ever really paid attention to. The question is, can the Falcons stop Austin Eckler? Because Eckler might be the only guy that takes the field offensively for the Chargers that's worth a damn. But he's been on a roll the last few weeks, lighting up people up with the run game and through the air. I'm gonna give the 3 here, and I'm gonna take Eckler to have another big day against this mediocre Falcons defense, which is also beat to hell when you look at their corners with Terrell and Hayward being banged up. I'm gonna take the Chargers and give the 3.
I think I'm just yeah. But what?
When Scott and I were doing our daily show, we thought about renaming it to "Stop Taking Running Backs in the First Round." Mm-hmm. Good Lord, I
think I'm just too traumatized to lay 3 with Staley on the road. There's some coaches I just won't do it with, and Staley's probably one of them.
That's fair. Rock, weigh in here, buddy.
Look what happened to the Chargers last week. They can't stop the run. Kenneth Walker went 23 carries, 167 yards. Even all-pro quarterback DJ Dallas had 6 carries for 35 yards.
That was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. My bad. I forgot how time works. That was their last game or whatever. They're playing another run team. They're going to run all over them. They couldn't stop the Seahawks. They aren't going to get the opportunities they need to score points in the game. As long as the Falcons can, score in the red zone. Find Kyle Pitts. They actually used him. Did you see that? They threw to Kyle Pitts in the end zone.
And a touchdown. All that.
Yeah.
So it was a fluke, from what I understand.
It was a fluke. I didn't know you were allowed to have a tight end have a target in the red zone.
I'm assuming it was meant to be a handoff and Mariota improvised and he found Pitts in the end zone, right?
I thought they just called a tackle eligible and put him out there.
Yeah, I think they were throwing to Zacchaeus and he intercepted it.
That sounds right. Hey, Scott, how you been doing lately? You been ringing up those wins?
Yeah, so far so good. Ended up winning the last 2 plays of the day with the NFL. Besides that, I destroyed you in the college football show over the weekend. Went 3-0 for the second straight week. Can't complain. Football's been very good, and I know that we got a lot of football coming up for the rest of the season, so let's keep it rolling.
There you go. All right, make sure you check out Scott's Daily Plays over at the Winners and Winers YouTube channel. Of course, you can get Chris and I's premium plays. Just use the special premium play code. All you got to do is put in Vegas RV50, and that'll get you 50% off of my picks, off of Chris's picks as well, or any of the other great handicappers at winnersandwiners.com. Rock, you want to take us to the break?
We're going to break.
And now, coming back to you live from the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles.
Good evening, it's me, Roger Goodell. We're all gathered here to celebrate the first annual mid-season Bad Takes Award show. And down here in the front row, we've got Timmy, who was recently diagnosed with the chicken pox, the kind that doesn't go away. I got something for you, Timmy. As you all know, this has been a surprising and exciting season with some definite surprises and great offense. Don't let the media lie to you. And while nobody gets everything right, there were some takes that were so bad, so terrible, they really stand out. Let's get started in the NFC South. Matt Josephs of Fathom Sports wrote how the Tampa win total of 11.5, quote, pretty solid number as I come up with 11 or 12 wins. Oof, they better hurry, Matt. And Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post had this to say: 2-15, Ohio State's C.J. Stroud or Alabama's Bryce Young. That will be the question that the Falcons are asking by Halloween. Quick reminder, the Falcons currently lead the division, while the Bucs have lost 3 straight and currently sit below 500. Next up, the NFC East, where Sports Illustrated's Gary Gramling had this to say about the only unbeaten team in the league. 3-14, the Eagles don't just lose most weeks, they lose ugly. Wow! Just wow! I'll bet Gary loaded up on Bitcoin when it hit 60 grand, huh? And finally, the AFC West, BJ Riddell had this hot take about the Broncos. Just as Matthew Stafford was key to getting the Rams over the hump last season, Wilson could help this team to the Super Bowl. I'm eyeing 12-13 wins and the AFC West title. Simply put, they're a terrific bargain at their plus 260 line. Wow! Just wow! Does that guy really still have a job? I mean, I still got a job, so it makes sense. Okay, well, there's a lot of bad takes, but there can only be one winner. I'm sorry, I'm now being told we actually have no awards. It seems that we used all of our discretionary funds on footballs. Well, you know what? Let's call it a tie. There are all these terrible takes, and none of you deserve an award except for Timmy, because he's a goddamn fighter. Enjoy the second half of the season and keep up the terrible work.
Russ, it's 3 a.m. What are you doing?
Cooking?
Cooking what?
I don't know. Whatever I can find. I'm doing 8 square meals a day.
For the love of God, can you please just go to bed?
Oh. My bad, Greg Goldtich.
It's Dulcich.
No, don't worry. I'll keep it down.
Thank you.
Omaha!
Russ, can you please keep it down?
Oh, I'm just working on my cadence.
Oh, your cadence. You've been a quarterback for like 12 years. What could you possibly be working on?
There's always room to improve. The Bible says so.
Please, just shut up.
Yeah, I got you, Greg Goldtich.
It's Dulcich, man.
I
swear to God. Russ, what are you doing?
Does this make a weird noise to you?
No?
I'm gonna fix it.
Bro, can you please just do that in the morning?
Oh, I got practice in the morning.
I cannot take this anymore. I'm going to move out.
Got it. Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, let's ride. Yep, that one still works. Who wants to talk to me? Marshawn, it's 3 a.m. Tell him to go to bed. Sidelines, let's go. Call it out. Run or pass, run or pass, run or pass. You like U2?
Welcome back. I hope you're having a good educational time hearing our analysis of these games. We got a big game coming up. Do you mind if I take this one, Steehn?
You want to go first?
Huge game. I won't go first. I'll just introduce the game.
Okay, go ahead, buddy.
The nearly first place Carolina Panthers playing the absolutely terrible Cincinnati Bengals. What are your thoughts, Steehn?
We got to tell what the numbers are.
Oh, the Bengals are 7-point favorites after losing to the Browns by 30,000? And the number's at 42.5.
All right, very good. Well, there has been Panthers money come in as this one opened up at 8. I have zero confidence in either one of these teams right now. I think whoever can run the ball more successfully is likely to win. I think both of these teams will spend time trying to establish the run, despite the fact the Bengals ran just 10 times on Monday night. I'm not sure what that team's doing. They're going to get Burrow killed. I can't believe he has still made every start for the Bengals this season. That is just simply amazing because that young fella is getting abused. I'm going to play the under 42.5.
I agree with the under, but I'm going to take Carolina. I do agree with Rocky's point. The nearly first place Panthers, I think they should be, because Moore was off the field when he took his helmet off. I didn't really like the call there, but either way, the point is Carolina's actually looked, dare I say, competent for the last couple of weeks. You know, you fire Matt Rule and suddenly the actual offense has a pulse, but the Bengals can't block anybody. And there are rumors that the Panthers were going to trade Burns, who's one of their best defensive players. They did not. They kept him. But Carolina's defense was not good against Atlanta. I'll admit that. But the point is, Cincinnati can't block anybody. And without Chase, they don't really have a deep threat. Burrow was throwing constant checkdowns the entire game because he couldn't actually look at his progressions for more than 2 seconds before he ended up on the ground. I'm going to have to take the points. I do agree with Steehn. You can't really trust either team, but if you can't trust either team, I'd rather back the team that's getting a touchdown. I'm going to take Carolina.
Yeah, that's fair. You know, the thing is, it looks like the Carolina Panthers, once they got rid of that dead weight and Robbie Anderson and Christian McCaffrey, they've been a much better team. My God, who knew those were the two guys holding them back?
And you mentioned the ground game. Foreman was really good last week. He's been solid, and Mixon's been mediocre at best. So I kind of like Carolina's ground game.
All right, very good. Well, yeah, and that's something I should have mentioned because without the deep threat, even if they do throw the ball, it is going to be a lot of check down city, and you're going to have Burrow having a very small yards per attempt in this one. So, Chris, what you got?
I got to say I was disappointed with the fact that Cincinnati didn't hand the ball more to Mixon because we talked about San Diego, or the Chargers couldn't stop the run. Neither can Cleveland. I mean, the Falcons ran for 200 yards against them. And yet, like you said, he carried the ball, or they ran the ball 10 times. What did Mixon have, 20-some yards?
Yeah, I think he ran it. I think he had 7 carries or something like that.
I want to say 27 yards, but it wasn't good.
No.
It was disappointing. I think you're going to see them try to attack the Carolina front a little bit more. I'm not taking a side in this game. I think it's going to end up under the total. It's probably going to be 20-14, something like that. But there's no way in hell they're going to get to 42.5 points.
A trio of unders finds you, Rocky. You jumping on?
Yeah, you know that. Have you seen Chicken Run?
Sure.
You know that scene where they build the plane and they fly over the fence, but the lady is holding on to the Christmas lights with that hatchet in her mouth. That's what Matt Rule was to the Panthers. And once that lady fell off, that plane took off. The Panthers have nowhere but up to go. The Bengals, meanwhile, Joe Burrow can't figure out how to throw vertically. He can throw it more than 10 yards, but he throws it horizontally more than 10 yards. I would take the Panthers, especially as Reichel said, you're giving them a touchdown. This is a team that just beat the Buccaneers and then should have beat the Falcons, but, I didn't realize that it was the NCAA.
You can't celebrate anything. Yeah.
They had the hatchet lady kicking field goals too, apparently.
Yeah.
She was not good.
Also, there's another thing. If you want to cut dead weight, then why the heck is Eddie Pinheiro on your team? Cut the kicker completely and just go for 2 with PJ Walker every time. Give him an option to pass, and if it's not there, he runs off tackle. I don't know. Do something like that.
I don't hate it.
So you mean go for it on every 4th down? You're not going to have a field goal kicker at all?
I got a coach for you.
He is available.
Staley or Kevin Kelly.
Yeah, he is available.
Yeah,
absolutely true. All right, Al. This is as we break these into segments. This is not one of our better segments. How about Raiders Jaguars? Woo!
Friends and family.
2 teams that they were supposed to turn the corner this year. Supposed to turn the corner, baby.
They did. They turned the corner and ran right into a wall.
Yeah, they turned the corner for the first couple of weeks, and then somebody painted a vista on a wall, and they were just running like the Roadrunner, and all of a sudden they were done. Raiders -1 on the road because apparently somebody's got to be a favorite. Over 48 is what I'll be betting in this one. Jacksonville, they have lost and failed to cover 5 straight. But what I'm looking at right now is both of these defenses are atrocious with a capital A. I think one of these teams goes for 27 plus, and that should be enough to get us over the total because the other team most certainly will be in the 20s. Give me Raiders Jags over 48.
So I'm actually going to disagree. I'm going to lean to the under, mostly just because of the fact that Lattimore did not play for the Saints last week, and the Raiders couldn't cross midfield for the first 58 minutes of the game anyway. I don't know what the hell they were doing last week, but the Raiders' offense with McDaniels is not exactly good. And Jacksonville has Trevor Lawrence. No offense, Rocky, but he's not great. You might be a better quarterback than him, so we'll find out. But either way, the point is I do think both offenses are flawed. Jacksonville also might be jet lagged traveling back from London. But I just expect both these teams that are poorly coached to make a lot of dumb decisions. They're going to go for it on 4th downs. They're going to probably fail a couple times, and you'll be really annoyed when you have a 6-minute scoreless drive because of a 4th and 1 end around that loses 3 yards or something dumb in terms of play calling. I'm going with the under. You can't get shut out by a banged-up Saints defense and expect me to trust you the week after. Give me the under.
When you said 4th and 1, I thought you were going to reference Jared Goff throwing deep on 4th and 1 the other day with 3 minutes to go.
Hey, I got to interject here. Does anybody notice that happening a lot more on 3rd and short and especially 4th and short with guys just going over the top for 15 to 25 yards?
Well, I know Adams did that on Monday night against the Chiefs, but it happens every now and then. It's one of those where you're hoping the defense is so close to the line of scrimmage, you'll have somebody who breaks open, but then when it doesn't work, you yell at the guy for being an idiot because you need 2 yards and he threw it 45. It's kind of a catch-22, isn't it?
Well, but you've only got one guy in the pattern. That's the problem. Is you've got everybody else in tight blocking, and so you're only running a pattern. He's almost certain to be double covered.
Well, that was the Des Bryant situation with the catch because they threw it on 4th and 1, 40-something yards in a playoff game.
Right. Well, I mean, and I know that it's anecdotally you can look to, look, it worked there. Well, show me the 10 times it didn't work. I think that's a terrible trend. You notice it even more in college. And I could be, conflating the pros in college because obviously, it kind of runs together when you watch it all weekend. But
it worked for TCU the other day.
Again, I just seem to notice that being more of a trend. I think it's stupid. It's a stupid football. All right.
TCU didn't count because the guy went off sides. It was a free play, so they chucked it up. So that's why they did it. But yeah, either way.
Right, Chris.
But you're right. I think, in that situation, because in the case of Detroit, they threw it. It was incomplete. They didn't get the ball back. If you had run the ball, you would have had a chance to move the sticks and potentially win the game.
Right.
But to go back to this game, though, I know Jacksonville's defense stinks. I don't think the Saints' defense is very good, and the Raiders scored a nada.
No, I had the over in that.
Chris, do you have faith in the Raiders' offense in this game or Jacksonville's offense? Because I think that one of them is going to drastically underperform.
I don't have faith in Jacksonville's offense because like you said, Rocky's doppelganger is playing quarterback for him. I didn't like him when he was here at Clemson. I don't like him now.
You didn't like
Eddie
him at
N
Clemson? He won a title. Like he was great at Clemson. I just thought he wasn't going to translate well.
But I'm tired of hearing about. If you lived here and you heard about Clemson 45 hours a week on sports talk radio every week during the season, you'd get tired of hearing about him too.
Fair enough.
But no, I don't have faith in Jacksonville. The Raiders, I don't understand why you didn't run the ball with Josh Jacobs, because the Saints can't stop the run. Instead, you have Derek Carr throwing the ball all over the place to absolutely nobody.
And Adams still at 3 yards.
But in the end, I think this game ends up under the total. If I had to lean one way or the other, I guess give me the Raiders, because at least Derek Carr isn't necessarily going to throw an interception on 1st and goal from the 1 like we saw Lawrence do the other day. So I'll take the Raiders on blind faith.
Rocky, I'm on an island here. Can you save me?
I can. The Raiders are a whole team of the Browns punter. So I like the Jaguars. The one thing I'll say about this game is a Rocky's proppy. I got Mac Hollins throwing 1 pass.
Okay.
And it would probably be on 4th
I think
and
a better
1
Rockies probably would be that there was one person that was actually looking forward to that game.
That is true.
Over under half a human being that will enjoy watching this football game.
There's probably a masochist somewhere.
And we'll finish up this segment with the Seahawks and the Cardinals out there in the NFC best. Seahawks on the road, Cardinals 2-point home favorites, 50.5 is the number. We've talked about this before for much of the season. The Seahawks have led the NFL in yards per carry. They did it with Rashad Penny, and then they have done it with Kenneth Walker, and they have not missed a step. Cardinals' rushing offense is defense has kind of fallen off the rails. They've given up more than 135 in 3 of their last 4. Kenneth Walker, I'm a believer. Kid's a stud. Geno Smith, we've talked about his improbable season, and it continues as he leads the league in completion percentage and is a top 5 in both quarterback rating matrices. I think the Seahawks pick up a nice road win here. Give me the Hawks plus the 2, or we'll take them on the money line.
I agree. I don't think Arizona should be favored. Now, the offense has been a lot better with Hopkins, and that makes sense because he's a top 5 receiver in the league. Having said that, Arizona still has not won many games. Ended up losing to Minnesota last week as the defense fell apart after a couple of good weeks in a row there, but it appears they have regressed back to what we thought they'd be preseason. But the point is, Arizona just isn't a well-coached team. We've roasted Kingsbury for months. I don't think he actually gets his team up to play, and we've seen him make questionable decisions either on 4th and short, or even just with some play calling stuff here and there. Pete Carroll's been very good this year, and the Seahawks have been a fun team. They had a nice win against the Giants last week by double digits. I like Seattle. I think they should be favored. They didn't give up a touchdown in the first meeting. They won the game, I believe, 19-9. I find the total fascinating because the first game landed 28, and now the total's 50.5, which is kind of crazy. I'm going to lean over, as crazy as that sounds, because this total seems like it's daring you to take the under. And Hopkins, I do think, is really a big piece for that offense. But my favorite play is Seattle. I don't know how Arizona's favored here. They're also terrible at home. So I don't know if home field advantage actually exists with this team. Give me the Seahawks. They're fun to watch, and they've been pretty good.
I think you have to go with Seattle. I mean, at this point, can we just say, to quote Dennis Green, the Cardinals are who we thought they were? I mean, let's face it. They're a team, they can't run the ball. Connor's been hurt. Darrell Williams has been hurt. Benjamin has been hurt. I think they were trying to get Johnny Johnson or somebody like that out of retirement. Let's face it, Kyler Murray is running for his life because that offensive line is terrible. Hopkins is getting almost, I think it was 48% of the targets in the last couple of weeks since he came back. Can you trust him? Can you trust Kyler Murray? The answer is no. I have to go with Seattle. I have to agree with you, Steehn. Kenneth Walker's been great since he took over that job. Feel bad for Rashad Penny. He was, running towards a new contract and then broke his leg. Now you don't know if he'll even have a job next year.
Yeah, he was averaging,
at least not in Seattle.
6.1 yards per carry when he went down. Really bad.
If people are trading for Zach Moss, somebody's going to pick up Rashad Penny.
That's a fair point.
but he won't have a starting job necessarily. Yeah, and like we were saying, Steehn, you've been on a roll with your premium picks, so have I. I think 10-4 or something like that over the weekend in the NFL. The Buffalo game was a disappointment, like we talked about it earlier. And then the NBA, been on a roll, been 17-8 since the season started. So been on a roll there. Make sure you jump on board with the Parlay King and use the promo code that Scott mentioned, which is Scott.
The promo code this week for 50% off is Vegas RV50. Take your RV and head to Vegas for 50% off. Vegas.
Thank
RV50.
you for the promo code, because I couldn't remember what it was and I was blanking because we were talking about LV Steehn 50 before.
I had to look it up. All right, very good. Rock, what you got?
All right. As the trade deadline is coming past, the one trade that I was desperately hoping for involved the Arizona Cardinals. There's somebody out there that just needs a new start who can help out that defense, can help Isaiah Simmons reach his true potential and make it so they don't start blowing games. And his name is Mike Tomlin. I wanted to see the Arizona Cardinals fire that fraud, Cliff Kingsbury, and replace him with a defensive genius like Mike Tomlin, who loves players and looks like he's having fun playing football, because Cliff Kingsbury seems like he has more fun sitting in front of a wall that's entirely windows than he does actually caring about winning games. I'm going Seahawks.
Okay, very good. All right, guys, we have one more segment to go. Stay tuned, because we'll be right back after these brief announcements.
It's funny because they have to use their feet to power their cars.
Hey, Tom.
What's up, Big Ben?
What you got going there? Are you eating a whole chalupa? I thought you were on that TB12 thing.
Nah, that was for Giselle. I'm a new man, Ben. It's game on, baby. Good to see you. Do you want to come in? I got a few nacho fries left.
No, I'm good. What you got going with that shirt?
Yeah, I lost a bet.
Cool. I did too. Anyways, I just want to give you this.
What's this?
Well, I saw you got sacked by Justin Houston last week, and it was the 555th sack of your career. I made it for you. It's a sack with 554 other sacks inside of it.
Wow, Ben, yeah. That's really something.
I know, right? Did I mention I made it?
Yeah, you did. You must be pretty proud.
You know it. Hey, I'm headed to Applebee's to get some riblets. Do you want to come with?
I would, but I'm like right in the middle of something.
Game planning?
Oh yeah, that's right, game planning, the usual, working out. Definitely not watching Fred and Barney bowl for the Water Buffalo Lodge Championship.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Well, thanks for the sacks. That is a weird dude.
All right, everybody, welcome back. It is the fourth and final segment on Once Upon a Time in Las Vegas. Don't forget, everybody that comments is automatically entered into our drawing for $100, a $100 gift certificate, a gift card, if you will. Gift certificate, geez, I'm in the 20th century. A gift card, $100 we've given away. Well, way too many of them, frankly, because we keep screwing up the drawing. But we're supposedly giving away one a week. So make sure you check that out. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you think. And you will be in the drawing. Rocky and I do it live every Thursday, somewhere around 6 o'clock Eastern time, give or take. So tune in live to find out if you are $100 or richer. So let's finish up here talking about three games. Let's go to the, I guess this is going to be the, what do they call it? America's Game of the Week or whatever, that late window on Sunday. This is going to be a game that they thought was going to be a barn burner before the season started. It's the Rams and the Buccaneers. Buccaneers -3 behind the newly single Thomas Brady. 42.5 is the number. Man, these teams, for whatever reason, cannot score. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 25th in scoring. The Rams are 28th. The best thing I can say about the defenses is they're better than the offenses. I'm going to hold my nose on this one and play the under 42.5.
Well, you mentioned why, or you brought up the fact both teams can score. It's because both teams on the offensive line are atrocious. And Tampa lost a bunch of starters during the offseason. The Rams lost a couple of guys, but the truth is the offensive line wasn't very good to begin with. I'm going to take the Buccaneers here. I know that both teams aren't good, but the Buccaneers did play on Thursday. They have extra prep time. The Rams had a bye and still got smacked by the 49ers. This team is awful. The Buccaneers showed some signs of life against Baltimore. It didn't last long, but at least they showed a pulse. I don't think the Rams showed anything. Give me the Buccaneers with extra prep time to beat up on another bad team.
The thing that concerns me about Tampa Bay is everybody talks about how they're supposed to be good defensively, and they let Baltimore run over them like Baltimore was playing Cleveland. I know the Rams aren't a great run team, but I think you might see a lot more Darrell Henderson than you're used to seeing. I can't trust Tampa Bay. I mean, they scored 3 points against the Panthers. If I'm going to pick a side, I'll take the Rams, but I have to agree with Steamroller. This game doesn't get to the 42.5. It's not going to be anything like the game we saw 9+ months ago when the Rams won, 30-27 in the divisional round. I'm going to take the under. If I had to lean one way or the other, though, I'm going to take the Rams with the points.
I think this game comes down to which team can make a game-changing sack fumble, and considering it's Matt Stafford, the king of fumbles and interceptions, he's just Carson Wentz with the Super Bowl ring. I'll say that. I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't really care.
I'll be watching something else. I can promise you that.
To be fair, though, Carson Wentz does have a Super Bowl ring. He just didn't play.
Oh, that's a good point. I completely forgot about that.
That's fair.
So did everybody else except Carson Wentz.
Well, he had a great season up to the point he was hurt.
He would have won MVP if he stayed healthy. But.
That's not really a fair jab right there. But all right, let's move on.
Yeah, I will say that Matt Stafford does not hold the ball as well as Rams fans think he does.
Well, let's move on to the reason that I won't be able to travel anywhere east of my house on Sunday night. The Chiefs, well, they'll be hosting the Tennessee Titans at Arrowhead at Yeehaw Field. Chiefs, this number has skyrocketed from 10.5 to 12.5. Chiefs are 12.5 point home favorites over the Titans. 46.5 is the number. You know, Kansas City rush defense, if you look at the numbers, and if you just look at yards given up, you go, well, this rush defense is pretty good. Well, you know why? Because the teams find that they can actually throw the ball against them. They're just third in yards allowed. You say, oh, that's pretty good. But if you dive a little deeper, you look at the stat that I like to use. Chiefs are 18th in defensive yards per attempt against. And I think the Titans, if they stay patient and they don't fall behind by double digits early, are going to be able to run the ball on the Chiefs, take the time off the clock, keep Mahomes on the bench, all the things you have to do to beat the Chiefs. I think the Titans don't win this game, but I think they make it close. I like the Titans plus the 12.5.
So I hate laying double digits in the NFL, but I do have to at least acknowledge it's Andy Reid off the bye, and we know how good that usually works out.
Fair.
Tennessee, you don't know who the quarterback's going to be. Might be Tannehill, might be Willis. I'm assuming it'll be Tannehill, but we'll see. This one's really tough for me. I think I'm going to lean to the under in this game if I had to pick my favorite play, because if Tennessee wants to keep it close, they're going to try to run the ball. And then when that doesn't work, they're going to keep trying to run the ball. And when that doesn't work, they'll try to run it again, because I don't think they're going to end up trusting Tannehill to make that many big throws here. We know that even though Scott has mentioned in the past to disprove the theory that, you actually have to score in order to beat Mahomes. You can't just drain the clock out.
Right.
Tennessee's going to try, whether it works or not, because that's what Vrabel knows best. It's draining clock and trying to have a lot of long drives. I like the under because I do think Tennessee's defense is not great, but it's bend but don't break. Maybe they can hold Kansas City to a couple field goals. I'm just not sold on Tennessee's offense, and I think if they do score, they'll take a lot of time off the clock. I'm going to take the under.
Yeah, we have talked about that in the past, about how it is kind of fool's gold because the Chiefs really just tend to lose shootouts. Now, that did not happen this year in the Colts game. when the Colts were able to dominate the time of possession and keep Mahomes off the field and hold KC to their lowest point total of the season. So yes, but it is the thought process behind teams that you have to keep Mahomes on the bench. You have to have a low scoring game. And generally speaking, none of those things are true. It doesn't keep the teams from trying to execute that strategy. Chris?
Well, I mean, if there's a team that can execute that strategy, though, it is the Titans. We saw it last year. What was it, 27-3 or something like that? They beat Kansas City. I think that game was that game in Arrowhead, or was it at?
That was in Tennessee.
That was in Tennessee, and that was a really kind of a deceptive score because they were down 27-0 at halftime.
Yeah, there were like 3 points in the entire second half.
Yeah, the Titans just totally took their foot off the gas and played defense in the second half and were able to.
But I mean, if there's a team that can keep Mahomes off the field, it's going to be Derrick Henry and the Titans. We saw what he did to Houston the other day, his 6th 200-yard game of his career. You're going to see Derrick Henry right, Derrick Henry left, Derrick Henry up the middle. If they don't get a first down, you might see Derrick Henry again, or they'll punt. I don't have faith in Tannehill throwing the ball, but I also think that Tennessee, for as bad as their defense was the first couple weeks of the season, they've gotten somewhat better. I think Kansas City will win the game, but I learned my lesson about big lines when they had the Monday night game against the Raiders a few weeks ago. I'm going to take the Titans with the points. If I was playing straight up, I would take Kansas City.
Reichel, you mentioned the quarterback situation. Who would you be more excited about seeing? If you're a Tennessee fan, who do you want to see? You want to see Willis? You want to see Tannehill?
I think Tannehill's a lot better than Willis right now. I think you can argue that moving forward, Willis has more upside. Did he show you anything against the Texans last week? Because the Texans' defense stinks. And yes, Henry went for 200-plus yards and 2 touchdowns. I thought Willis looked awful, if I'm being honest with you. And we thought that going into the year, he would need a year to actually sit on the bench, learn the playbook, learn the actual system before he was potentially ready. He's not ready. You know Tannehill's at least ready and he's familiar with the system. He's not good, but he's better than Willis right now by a country mile, in my opinion.
Okay, very good.
Willis threw it, 10 times in that game? I think he was, 6 for 10 for 55 yards or something like that?
A couple picks, too. He was really, really bad.
I'm just checking the stats here. He was 6 for 10 with an interception.
What do you guys think? I think as of right now, Tannehill's clearly the better quarterback.
QBR of 4.4, by the way.
Yeah,
stellar.
Should be playing for Iowa.
I think Tannehill's QBR is well into the 30s. So yeah, sure, give me it. Rocky, why don't you weigh in on this one?
Look, I think that if Malik Willis is playing, Andy Reid is going to look across the field like he's looking at a Mr. Good Bar. And that good bar is saying, Andy, come eat me. Because, yeah, the Titans have the ability to beat the Chiefs, exactly what Chris is saying. I wanted to lean with the Titans, and if Tannehill's playing, I probably would. Because when Derrick Henry goes 2 rushes, 8 yards, and they decide, let's get a little pass play in here. They use some play action. Can Malik Willis throw the completions that they need to keep up with the Chiefs? And the answer is no. So Malik Willis is playing. I like the Chiefs. If Tannehill's playing, I like the points.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Steehn. Frank Clark is suspended still, correct?
He's suspended for 2 games. That's correct.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure. I wasn't sure if he had served one or both. Or
that's right. And just to clarify, getting caught with a machine gun driving around L.A., 2-game suspension. Beating up a vacuum cleaner, that's 4.
That's right.
And do we even mention Deshaun Watson?
No, I mean, you can mention Kamara. Kamara didn't get any games.
Oh, there you go.
Well, they pushed it, didn't they?
They keep dragging it back, but he beat somebody up in an elevator. I feel like that's worse than beating up a vacuum cleaner. That's just my opinion, you know.
Yeah, has it been adjudicated in court yet? Because they usually
I don't think so. I think that's the thing. Philip, I think you're really underestimating the size of the vacuum cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really nice vacuum cleaner. It was.
Yeah, you can't beat up those $600 or $700 Dysons.
I dedicate the suspension to myself.
All right. If you've never seen Back to School, you probably don't understand about half of what Scott and I talk about. So,
or our show, also conveniently titled Back to School.
That's right. That's right. We love it so much we named our show after it. All right, guys, let's finish up with the kind of big game you just have come to expect in primetime slots. It's going to be the Ravens. It's going to be the Saints. Ravens, another road favorite, minus 3 points, 47.5 is the number. Well, they burned me last week. The Saints did with the was playing the over as the Raiders were able to get nothing going. I'm not convinced this Saints defense is for real. Both of these teams in the top 8 in scoring. Both of the defenses, surprisingly, with the Ravens, are in the bottom 10 as far as points allowed. I think the Ravens are going to be able to get their running game going like the Raiders could not. That's going to open up the passing lanes, and I think they end up putting. I think I probably put up 28 to 30 in this one. Do the Ravens, and I think that'll be enough to get us over that total of 47.5. I'll lean Ravens, but I'll land with both feet on the over.
For this one, I'm really torn because I'm kind of leaning under because I'm just expecting Dalton to be terrible in a primetime game again, which is what we kind of have seen his entire career. But the Saints defense was randomly really good last week. Now, it might be because McDaniels is a really bad coach. We're not exactly sure. Maybe Lattimore plays, which should be a nice boost. But Baltimore had extra prep time. They did play on Thursday. So I think I am leaning to Baltimore in this spot because I do like the extra prep. But I think I'm going to lean to the under because I do think with the Saints' extremely injured receiving core, Landry hasn't played in a month. Michael Thomas hasn't played in a month. Olave's good, but that's basically all they have. And I do and you also, of course, you have Kamara, but still, I'm not sold on Baltimore's weapons either because Bateman's now out indefinitely. And they have Duvernay, who's mostly a gadget player who occasionally catches some passes. I just don't like either receiving core in this game. So I think you're going to end up seeing a lot of actual handoffs, which should eat up clock. I'm going to go with the under in this one. I think this number's a bit high.
I think I've got to go with Baltimore here. Like you said, they're rested. They picked up Roquan Smith, may help that defense. Hopefully they won't blow another double-digit lead.
Fortunately for them, they'll be covering in the fourth. The question is, will they choke it? So you should be covering at some point in the fourth quarter of this game.
Fortunately for them, this game's on the road. It's not at home where they tend to cough up games like they're like a hairball with a cat. I don't buy into the Saints defense from last week, like Steamroller said. With Jackson and hopefully Gus Edwards plays and Justice Hill and Kenyon Drake, and I think Rocky's is the fourth string running back for Baltimore. He'll probably get 8 carries. Outside of the Saints, you look how bad was Jameis Winston that he couldn't even get the starting job back from Andy Dalton, who threw 2 pick sixes on a Thursday night game against Arizona. I don't have faith in the Saints at all. I've got to go with Baltimore.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Chris, because I'm thinking the same thing. If you're going to try out a quarterback who's going to throw back-to-back pick sixes, why not do somebody who's fun to watch, At least Jameis Winston will try chucking the ball down the field to Traquan Smith or somebody, or Marquez Callaway. And you know what? The Saints defense, who do they stop from scoring? The Las Vegas Raiders. It's the Raiders. It says nothing about their defense. The Ravens, I read this incorrectly. 3 points. Give them 12. I like the Ravens.
All right. Rocky on a little alternative line. All right, guys. Well, with that, I think we call that going out with a whimper and not a bang, but that is the card for this week. I think this is going to be the shortest card that we see as 6 teams are on a bye, and we have just 13 games this week. So enjoy your
only 2 of them are any good.
Yeah, it's I know everybody loves the NFL, but we may have to start talking about how the product hasn't been that great this year.
This league wants to expand,
and they want to expand. That's right.
They want to expand this league. Well, cut them down. Have 16 teams.
You talk about starting a world war. Go put some NFL team expansion teams over in Europe. My God.
Yeah.
How bad is that going to be? Anyway, I like to finish with a rant about the product that we're out here promoting. So there you go. That's my thoughts on the NFL. As always, thank you guys for joining us. Yes, Rock?
I was going to say the product doesn't affect. We can always bet on bad products.
That's right. That's right. And speaking of bad products and betting on them, the election's coming up. So don't forget to get your bets down on that. And let's talk about where we can find these guys. Scott, where can we find you around the internetosphere?
So you can find me on Twitter on at Reichel Radio, REICHEL Radio. Besides that, still doing my free daily picks every night. Doing pretty well lately, so hopefully we keep it rolling on the Winners or Whiners YouTube page. Besides that, doing this show, I believe once every other week, which is, of course, is a fun time. doing the college football show with Steehn every Friday, and I'm doing about 4 prop shows with Allie Burns at Picks and Parlays during the week. So a lot of content. You can find it all on my Twitter, but a lot of free picks, and let's make some money.
All right, very good. And yeah, make sure you follow Scott on Twitter, where you can find out the parlays that he just hit as he posts the card, but not before the game. So thanks very much for that.
You're welcome.
Chris, where can we find you? Or do you like to hide your parlays until they hit as well?
Unlike Scott, I don't have to be on 87 different shows. I get to just come on here for once every couple of weeks for the time being, while we figure out what we're going to do with just parlays. Other than that, you can catch me on Twitter at Betting Royalty, or you can catch me on Winners and Winers either on the experts page, where they can find you and all the other great guys like Dave and Mason that are on the show here on the weeks that Scott and I aren't. Or you can catch me on Winners and Winers with just all the articles I end up writing on a weekly basis. As far as my parlays, no, I don't post them up afterwards. Most of the time I forget to post them up at all.
All right.
But hey, that way you don't know what happened.
Yeah, very good. You like that element of surprise is always
it's
what you're
plausible
going for.
deniability.
What you're going for on Twitter. Hey, you can find me on Twitter at Steehn SteehNRoller. I'm not as prolific as Scott at tweeting out who should be fired. Follow Scott if you want to find out who the coach of the day that should be fired is, because it's every day it's somebody.
It was Steve Nash, and he got fired. So I got one right.
All right. Well, we'll be anxious to see who it is tomorrow. I'm sure he's going to renew his clarion call for Cliff Kingsbury to join the ranks of the unemployed. We'll see. Of course, you can find me over at the Winners and Wonders YouTube channel. I'm doing free videos each and every day with a free pick, and you can catch me on the experts page with Chris, with Mason, with Dave, with Arthur. A lot of great handicappers over there. You can get my premium plays as well. Rocky, where can we find you, and get us out of here?
You can find me on Twitter at Rocky Foré. Rocky Foré. Also, if you're in northern Illinois, I was being chased by a very large fox, and I'm currently stuck upside down on a fence. I could use a hand. Well, you have been watching Once Upon a Time in Las Vegas, the rise of the greatest American sports betting show in the world. Tune in next week. We always got picks for you. We're having a good time. We're having a fun time. Comment below. You can win $100. The odds are good. Those are good odds. There's only like 23 comments.
That's right. Almost a 5% chance. So yeah, go do it.
Yeah. Have a good week.
Take care, everybody.
That's not bad. Oh my God. I've been drinking the wrong soda for